Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Leila and Modetz.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good.
We're doing good. Well, let's get this show started. Tell us a little bit about you. What do you do?
I am a residential realtor. I'm licensed here in Michigan, and I'm also licensed in Florida.
Awesome. So when you were younger, is this what you had planned for your future?
No, to be honest, I think if not every month, every year, I would, decide, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be this when I grow up, but never a realtor. That's not what I thought I was going to do.
There we go. So how did you get into real estate?
I've had a lot of jobs. I went to college. I have a degree in accounting. I did that for 10 years. I had my own business and it just was not fulfilling. Like sitting on this other side of the computer, crunching numbers all day, having no customer interaction. I'm like, this is not for me. But the business mind, the accounting mind, I would always like analyze other businesses. And I'd come home with my husband and say, I'm thinking about this. He was like very supportive. Okay. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like when you figure how many hours you're going to put in and how much money you got to put in, and it just like no business model made a lot of sense. I was like, I'd love to own an ice cream shop. Goodness gracious, how many scoops of ice cream do you have to sell a day to like make this work? That's not going to happen. So on a whim one day, I said, you know what? I'm going to get my real estate license. That's how it happened. And my husband said, okay, go for it.
Sounds good.
4 years later, here I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah. When you switched over from the accounting side to real estate, did you just jump full into real estate, or did you kind of do part-time until you got used to it, or how did that work for you? How'd that transition go?
So luckily at the time I had wrapped up most of my accounting business. I only had one client, a local brewery here in Oxford. So I was part-time. So I decided I wanted to get my license. I researched it. There was a real estate school in Flint. So I signed up to go in person. I went Monday through Friday, banged out the 40 hours. I studied all weekend. I walked in on Monday to the state exam, took it, passed it, got licensed, and jumped right in full time.
Nice.
That's awesome. So how'd you get that first transaction? How did you get it?
Oh, my first transaction. This is a good one. So it was a family property. It was on Harson's Island. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Harson's Island, but it's a cool little island. You have to drive your car onto the ferry to get there.
Yeah.
Anyways, my family had this house, but everybody was working and nobody was really using it. And so everybody else was using it. It didn't make sense. So two other realtors had tried to sell the property. And when I got licensed, my family member said, well, if you want, you can sell it. Nobody's been able to sell it before. So my first listing was a $1.3 million house on Harson's Island.
That's awesome.
Yep. And I hustled and I got that thing sold, and then
That's awesome.
Just kept on going.
That's pretty
really
darn good one to start out with.
Yeah.
How did your second leads go from there? Did they come pretty naturally after that, or did it take some time for those other ones to come in?
Yeah. So I would say most of my leads are friends and family.
Okay.
I'm from Florida originally. So most of my friends and family are in Florida, which is why I got that license here this summer. But my husband grew up here in the Rochester area, and his family owns businesses in the Oakland County, Macomb County area. And, they just have been very involved in the community. And my husband's friends are all pretty much here that he grew up with. And just word of mouth and hustle and people knowing like, okay, she's a businesswoman, customer service has always been my thing, like full service. I kind of consider myself like, if you're going to pick an airline, if you're going to fly Spirit, you know what you're going to get with Spirit, nickel and dimed, and have a horrible time, or you can like pay the premium and go on Delta and like get the full service package. So that's my approach to real estate. And it's totally paid off because it's just referrals and word of mouth and friends and family knowing I'm going to do a good job.
That's awesome. Yeah. When you first started out in real estate, were you on a team or did you just jump in solo?
Nope. I've been a solo agent
Okay.
From the get-go.
Nice. I can't believe your first listing was the 1.3. That's amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
Well, speaking of that, since you went from the 1.3, what is the worst property you've been to or show?
Yeah. So I have a couple clients that are investors. So when you get into the investor realm of things, I mean, you're walking into houses that have holes in the floor. I've seen poop on the walls. It's just like, you're kind of, even if you don't need a mask, you're covering your face up and you're using your flashlight to walk through, and you're like not leaving your client's side, and you're doing your best to walk through it and then get the heck out of there.
That's crazy.
Have you ever been to an investment property alone?
So okay, there's this old church in downtown Lapeer that someone converted to a house. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was listing a property not too far down the road, and I just saw it when I was running comps. I'm like, I want to see this thing. It's super amazing. So I had a showing scheduled. I parked my car, and you had to like go around the building. It was really weird. And I heard men talking, and I was like, I put the code in the lockbox, and I went to open the door, and I'm like, no, like the hair on the back of my neck was standing up. I was like, okay, I'm going to lock this, and I'm going to bring a friend back with me.
Yeah. I know. You never know what you're walking into with those investment properties. That's why I want to ask you that, just because you don't know.
you don't know. I don't really see too many houses by myself. I wait for my client to arrive. I've never had an incident. I know other women like carry, have a license to carry or have pepper spray or something like that. I don't have any of that. I probably should, but I always try the buddy system.
Oh, that's too funny. So
they're having fun.
Oh yeah, they are. They're having some fun over there. Well, what are some of your goals for 2022?
Oh, okay. Goals for
It's an arcade though, right? So what are you going to do? We can't stop them from having a good time. I hope they're winning over there.
Oh my goodness. I think we're going to hear it one more time too. Goals for 2022. So when I started,
It's only right when you start talking.
I know. It's like perfect timing.
Oh boy. Oh, okay. So goals for 2022. So when I first started, I was with Century 21, and in April of 2021, I switched to eXp Realty because they have, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the brokerage, but the level of revenue streams is just incredible there. And given my business background, I thought, well, this makes sense. So I've tested it out, just being a solo agent there for 2021, building my normal, revenue stream through selling houses. And I brought on 2 agents to join me. And I just wanted to make sure I understood the business model and that everything they had to offer was true before kind of jumping all in to tell everybody else about it. So 2022, want to still grow my production, but I'm definitely going to work on growing the agents that I have in my group at eXp. So those 2 are probably my biggest focus. And then I have a 10-year-old, and she decided she wanted to start a slime company. So that's on my 2022 business plan to help her grow her slime company, because I think that's pretty badass when your 10-year-old's like, I want to start a business.
Yes.
So gotta go all in on that too.
You're going to have to let us know once you guys get that up and going. I've got kids myself, and so does Brad. So
yeah, we're going to need an interviewer.
We're going to need to get some slime and some interviews going.
Yeah, we're going to have to interview her.
She would love that.
Promote her business.
We totally need that.
Yes.
Does she have a website?
Yay!
Does she have a website?
It's like we're gonna build it all out. I'm gonna have a website for her. We're gonna have an Instagram account. She's gonna have a YouTube channel, like the whole thing. Everything That's I should be doing. I'm probably gonna go all in on hers before I do it on mine.
That's awesome.
Oh,
yes,
man.
You're definitely gonna have to let us know when this is up and going, and we will get her on the show.
Oh, yay. She's going to be so stoked when I tell her this.
First 10-year-old that we're going to interview.
Yeah.
Yay.
I like it.
If you could start over today with all the knowledge that you've learned in the 4 years that you've been in real estate, what's one thing that you would do differently?
I would have made the switch to eXp sooner. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I sat on the sidelines for a year watching two women grow there. And I was like, okay, finally, I'm going to join them. And so I did. And then I sat on the sidelines for basically another year, making sure like, you know, everything they said was true. So if I could go back, honestly, if I could go back, I think the biggest thing our industry is lacking is education on what it truly means to be a realtor. You know, you go to real estate school, it's 40 hours. They don't tell you you're running your own business. Like there's a lot that goes into it. You know, they don't explain to you how the commission structure really works, how franchise fees work, how, you know, marketing works. There's so much that goes into it. If I could go back to the beginning, I would have done more research on how the entire industry worked and just known that going in, I would have probably made some different decisions. So I think that's my goal, is just to educate, because people have no idea. You know, they interview at one or two brokerages, they go with one of them, they have no idea what it really means. They work really hard, they sell their first house, and then they look at their paycheck and they're like, what? Like, where did it all go?
Yeah. So true.
Do you have any business books or anything that you could recommend to a new client coming on, or a new agent that's joining? I know you said you want to kind of grow your group in this next year coming. What's something that you could recommend to those new agents?
When I started, I just started listening to podcasts and YouTube videos and just connecting with other realtors who had been in the business for a long time. And I think it's important that, because it's such a unique business where, every person is different. So every realtor is different. And I would say, figure out what other people are doing and then go with what works best for you. You know, I hear all the time people do cold calling. Maybe I've tried that recently. I just tried an online lead source that's sending me leads, and that's not my personality style, you know? So I'd figure out, what is your personality style? What lead source is going to work best for you, and do that. So, you know, find that and then start listening to podcasts. As realtors, we're in the car all the time. I don't have time to like sit down and open up a book and read, but I can listen to a podcast. So this past weekend when I was in Florida, I was driving back and forth from Fort Lauderdale to Lakeland. I'm just going to pull up my podcast here and tell you what I was listening to. So there's one called The Social Bamboo. It's social media marketing. And he posts quite often, but it's basically just keeping up with what Instagram is doing or what other social media platforms are doing. So I think that's our biggest thing, this, you know, social media. So I would say listen to a podcast on that, follow some people on there. I also like listening to CEO School. Let's see if there's any other ones. Those are probably my main two that I listen to.
Nice. Awesome. I like it. How can people get a hold of you?
So I have a website. That's modetzrealestate.com. I'm on Instagram at Leila Modetz Real Estate. I'm on Facebook, my personal page on Facebook, if you want to know more about me as an individual, Leila Tajuri. That's my maiden name, Taguri. I also have a Facebook page, Modetz Real Estate. If you Google me, Leila Modetz, you'll see me on there too. It'll direct you to my website. You can see my reviews. And then my cell phone number, if anybody wants that, is 863-528-9390.
Awesome. Well, perfect. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And red. It's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening to on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, review. Guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, Taylor, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
No, I don't think this is working.
This is not working.